All right, everyone. Thank you for being here. Happy EMS Week and happy EMSC Day. I'm Brittany Nichols. I'm the Kansas EMS for Children Coordinator, and I just wanted to thank you all for spending an hour with us today to laugh, lunch, and learn. Before I get started, I just wanted to go over a couple of quick housekeeping items. So first off, as you might have noticed, everyone has been placed in listen-only mode, so your webcams and mics have been disabled. Please use that Q&A box at the bottom of your screen if you have questions, as there will be time for a quick Q&A after the presentation. And then feel free to include your comments or any issues you might have in the chat box below. Second, every 15 minutes, we're going to have a quick polling question come across the screen and hang out there for about a minute. Everyone is welcome and encouraged to participate, but specifically for my Kansas EMS folks, you guys will have to complete this in order to obtain credit for CEUs after the webinar. If you've ever participated in one of GMR's other online CEU courses, it's just like that. So those are the only housekeeping items I had. So on to our speaker. I'm very excited to introduce Ben Clincy, the comic behind EMScapades. He's here to talk a little bit about EMS provider fatigue and burnout, but mostly just to bring some laughter and lightness to everyone's day. So thank you all. Ben, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you now. Oh, Ben, we are ready for you when you've got your slides. Or if you don't have any, if you're ready to go ahead and start.
I do have slides. I just am trying to figure out how to bring those up. Let's see. Can you see?
Yep, your screen just showed up.
Hold on. Can you see the, hold on. Let me get rid of that too. Can you see those just fine?
Yep, absolutely. Awesome.
Okay. All right. So, and you can see me still too?
Yep, then we can see you, we can hear you, and we can see your screen you've got pulled up.
All right. If I do that, what is it doing now? Is it not sharing anymore?
Nope, you're still sharing.
It's still sharing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. All right. And then if I do this, it goes back to full video.
Correct.
And then if I do this, it goes back to the sharing.
You got it.
All right. I'm trying. I'm doing my best here. All righty. Here goes nothing. Hello, everyone. Okay, so you can hear me. So I guess I just get into, give me a chat. Am I getting into it right now?
Yep, you got it.
Okay, all right. So hi, everyone. My name is Ben Clincy. I am a paramedic and a comedian, and I'm the man behind EMScapades, comic strip. I don't know if any of you are familiar with, but that is me. He is I. I am him, and I was invited today And I want to thank EMSC for having me. Thank you so much. And for reasons I can't be sure of, I think I'm actually worth one CEU to all of you today. And I have done a lot of things in my life and in my career, but I don't believe I've ever been responsible for somebody meeting national registry or state licensure requirements. So this is cool. I mean, it could turn out really good. It could turn out really bad. Basically, yeah, I don't think I've ever felt pressure like this before, unless you count trying to intubate someone while a firefighter drives you at Mach 4. There's some pressure there. But if this goes well, this will be my intro at any comedy shows, or maybe this will be the lead into my podcast. It'll just be like, ladies and gentlemen, paramedic, comedian, comic strip artist, and man responsible for one CEU in his life, Ben Clincy, everybody. And I'll feel pretty important. But I was asked by EMSC today, and happy EMS week to everybody. I was asked to speak on resiliency in EMS and recognizing burnout and such like that. And as you know, or maybe you don't know, and I'll explain, I'll go ahead and give you the background. This is a laugh and learn, and I promise it'll get funny again, but I wanted to give you a background as to how I created the EMScapades comic strip before I start sharing with you some of my comic strips and how to and how they kind of correlated with my career over the past 5 years or so, and in things of burnout and as such. But we'll get into it. I'll explain it to you as we go. Might be rough, but I think we're going to do okay. So the story begins like this. It was Halloween of 2015. And I was sitting at an in-service training feeling completely jaded and burned out. And I had been thinking, obsessing really, about all the bad calls I had run in the past year to this point, because I had just wrapped up my first year as a paramedic. And the calls had not been all that kind to me. I wouldn't say I was a dark cloud, but I would say I was up there. And it all kind of culminated right before this in-service, about into my year of being the first year of being a paramedic. I had a teenage suicide victim that I couldn't save, and that affected me very deeply. And it was amplified for me personally due to the fact that my own father met the same fate at 39 years old. And so that was back when I was a teenager myself. I was 17 at the time. And as you can imagine, it kicked up some dirt into a wound that I had thought was a lot more healed than it was. And with any call like that, I think us as first responders start to question whether or not we're cut out for this line of work. It's just a natural response that at the time I thought was unique to me, but as I started to talk to people, I realized really wasn't. They all started telling me it's okay. You start to question your faith, you start to internalize it, and then you project that fear and anxiety onto the people that you love. Like, I didn't want to let my son out of my sight. It's one of those things. And then for me, I just mentally checked out and just started going through the motions of the job. And I started showing the classic symptoms of some burnout. Some of them, not all of them, but coming in, didn't check off my truck, went straight to my bunk room, only to surface for a call and then go right back into my room. I was lying in the dark whenever I was in there. I wasn't interacting with anybody or anyone else on shift, not my partner, not my supervisors. I just mentally checked out. So in my life, prior to responsibilities in EMS career and everything, family responsibilities, I was in the performing arts. I always had that to lean on and work out these feelings, whether it was acting on stage in plays, singing in a chorus, in bands, performing stand-up. I always had a creative outlet to make me happy and bring me back to earth when things were horrible or spinning out of control. So what was I to do? Getting out there and performing was tougher and tougher with our responsibilities in EMS. You work so much overtime, and whatever time you're not working, you want to spend with your family. So the last thing I want to do is say, hey, kids, I'm headed off to New York. I'll see you in a few, after not seeing you at all for the past week. So I don't know why, but here I was at that in-service in about Halloween of 2015, like I said, and I started to doodle with my finger on my phone. And I know I should have been paying attention, and this is not a lesson I encourage anybody here to mimic. Please don't ignore your in-service training. But I was in a weird space, so forgive me. But I was doodling with my finger on my phone and just drawing, cartoons. And I'll never forget that med control physicians were actually there that day. That was really a bad day to be ignoring, but still, oh well. And they were talking about how new protocols were being written. Now I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, by the way. And new protocols were being written to be allowed to administer morphine and fentanyl on standing order. Now, I know that this has probably been going on in systems across the country since probably the 90s. I'm not saying we're late to the party, but I go to a lot of conventions, and we aren't the cutting edge, or we aren't the leading force, but we're a good system. Charleston's got a lot of great things, but that was one thing I had noticed. And so everybody was like, oh, wow, cool. And I was kind of being my jaded, cynical, burnt out self. And I was like, whoopee. So I started, doodling, and they said, in these protocols, you need to give people pain medicine when they ask for it. Not when you feel they need it, not when they present with something that could need it, just simply when they ask for it. And I thought, wow, we are going to be as popular as the ice cream truck in the north part of our county. And it made me chuckle. I don't know why. I was just like, and that is the first time I had laughed in months, it felt like. And so then they follow up and say, but currently our morphine is on back order. And I thought, how priceless is this? So without even looking up from my phone and chuckling to myself, and like I said, laughing for the first time, however cynical the undertone was, I was laughing. So I started drawing, and I thought about drawing an ice cream truck, but instead, since Halloween was here, I decided to draw a junkie walking up to the unit and saying, trick or treat. And we said, our morphine is on back order. And they said, oh, got $1. Not exactly kind to some of our homeless or junkies, but like I said, it was the absolute birth of my comic strip called EMScapades. And so I remember when I placed the word bubbles on the panel, I remember thinking to myself, that was kind of easy and fun. I think I'm going to have to do more of these. And I have done many more of these. I have done over 500 of them to this day and still going. And like I said, I'd like to take a little time today to just share stories of how I recognize stressors and found a balance and a way of staying resilient in EMS. And of course, because I've been invited by EMSC, I'll share some of the little pediatric calls or something I've been on, but I'm going to speak to you through my comics, through my work. I hope you enjoy it. I think this is going, you noticed it threw me off. Okay. One of the chats came through. I got the same pop-up you guys did. And that's why I was like, all right. Thank you, Sam. So without further ado, as I stated before, I had very recently become a paramedic, and you know what that day was like. Everybody watching right now, they know that it was, I have the power. New paramedic, he found out he passed national registry 13 seconds ago. See, he still has his phone in his hand. That is when you realize you have the power. And yeah, I know that's silly, but that's where we're going with this. And so after that first strip at in-service, I was determined to find the humor in the nuisances of the job and find something in it always to chuckle at. One of the things that was stressing me out was the introduction of system status management. I don't know if you're familiar with that in your system. We were just coming into system status management and the post assignments that come with it. And if you're used to having a station, if you're used to having the comforts of a bathroom and a microwave and all that stuff, when those things go bye-bye, it is quite stressful. I do understand the purpose behind it, but it doesn't mean I wasn't upset by it. So I turned around and had to go ahead and take a jab at it, right? Of course. So here we go. This one shows them sitting at a corner gas station. So this post assignment stuff is getting out of hand. I think it's just dispatch punishing us. We've already discussed this. They want to improve response time. So like it or not, it's never going away. I just don't see the point. I mean, our station is across the street. Now, was it ever that ridiculous? Sometimes it felt like that. It felt like, why can't we go to our station? It's right there. But system status management had its purpose. It was here to stay. So I just thought, like that. And as I was doing these, I was sharing these on social media like Reddit and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and they were just getting so much. They were just getting so much attention that I was encouraged to sometimes be a little maybe more cynical than I typically am. Maybe, I don't know. But this is not so much a stressor. This was just something I thought I would share with you that I thought was something that we all noticed and something fun. So one of the things is we have a place called Pelican Snowballs. And if you're not familiar with what a snowball is, it's shaved ice with Kool-Aid, I guess would be the easiest way to explain it. And right here, you can see you receive a $1 discount if you're in uniform, if you are in the U.S. military, fire and rescue, law enforcement, or if you are indeed the Caped Crusader, Batman. If you are those things, you, my friend, can get $1 off of a refreshing ice cold snowball in the middle of summer. Well, I couldn't let it slide. And it wasn't that it was a stressor, it wasn't bringing me to burnout, but it was annoying. And I liked to snuff out the annoyances. And I started finding out that it was helping me, and it seemed to be helping others too. So, of course, I went ahead and I turned around and made fun of that too. So here we go. Look at that. They offer police, fire, and cute. Then she comes running from the back, soaked in sweat. Thank God you're here. We actually just now had someone cut their hand and it's bleeding bad. Sounds like you need a Batman. Huh? Ma'am, let me get my trauma box while you lead my partner to the patient, okay? Okay, thank you very much. Follow me. And Dilly, that's the man with the ginger, he says, this makes you Robin. You wish. So get used to those characters. That's Lance and Dilly. They are our heroes. Dilly, the cynic, Lance, the professional one most of the time, very much mirrors our partnerships, I believe, in EMS. There's always one who is always threatening to get the crew in trouble, and there's always one that is flying right, is steering the ship correctly. So I lost my place on my slides. There we are. So then I come to know that one of the big stressors was, it's like, why would anybody recognize that we need discounts when they don't recognize as much at all? They don't see EMS really, those letters on much, on signs, on we appreciate EMS or happy EMS week. Heroes signs, they're everywhere. We love our nurses and all that stuff, but EMS largely overlooked, and it can be quite a thankless job, which, not that I say we ever get into it for the glory, but I mean, you're just kind of there, right? It feels like it at times. So I do remember this happening. This was actually a strip based in a true thing. Not to me, but to, I believe, two people, another set of partners at my station. But they said they were all gung-ho. They had saved a choking child. They said, we made the news. And he said, for the accident? He said, why do you assume it's for something bad? Besides, the accident was just a scrape. I bet it's the choking child that Marnie and I saved. It's for the accident. Well, let's find out. It's for the accident. So it's never like, it's never what you hope. And the accident, and I didn't really go into detail, but was a scrape, was the ambulance hit a car. And that's what made the news, not the good news, but the embarrassing wish to forget bad news. And speaking to that, it was a thankless job. It actually felt that way when it came to my supervisors, which right here, I'll share this with you. My supervisors, love them to death. I really do. But man, your crew had a day, 3 arrests, 2 of them they got back, a drowning and a school bus crash. You writing them an email to thank them for all of their hard work? No. I was just letting them know they left a dirty coffee mug and 2 spoons in the sink. I know that can be kind of cruel, but it does feel that way from time to time. And it doesn't, you use the excuse, hey, I was working on all those charts, all those charts I'm supposed to get done before the end of every shift, right? That's what's important here. But speaking of charting, bilateral 14s, tourniquet, traction splint, RSI. I did skills on this call that I haven't gotten to do in a while, and all of them were successful too. Did you get their billing information? Ah, yes, the most important skill in EMS. I know, we don't bill, we don't get paid. I'm just saying, do not do what I do. Do not say what I say. It not has gotten me in a lot of trouble, but some of these have gotten me into some trouble. So I'm just explaining to you that these are things you might recognize, and I'm poking fun and I'm trying to make light of it. And that is all that I'm doing. Moving on, one of the other issues that we faced in EMS was the pay. Pay could be better, could be worse, could be better. And so one of the things that I thought would be a fun way to address that was saying, didn't we get paid today? I think so. Let me check my bank account. We did, and it's already gone. Remember, it's about the love, not the money. Don't know if my car can be paid off with the love, but thankfully my landlord accepts pride in a job well done. So as you can see, I have a quite cynical thing, but I promise you, they do turn around. If you notice, I'll show you that last one more time. When it comes to cynical, there's a little secret to all of this. My last name is not Clincy. That is a mashup. If you look to the right of your screen or right of the panel, clinical cynic, the CLIN in the blue comes from clinical, the CY comes from cynic, together makes Clincy. So I am a cynical somebody. And and that's the next comic strip, so I might as well show you that too. This I called the 5 stages of accepting overtime. So you sit at the computer and you click, I'll do it. And then immediately you're like, did I really just do that? No way. Why did I agree to that? What am I doing? You're just immediately regretful. Whoa, okay, let's back that out. You're immediately regretful. Why would I agree to do that? Because you're a dummy, that's why. And then you start praying to the EMS gods, which is a real thing. EMS gods, I'll scrub the floor if you take it easy on me tomorrow. And then you deserve what you get for being so stupid. And your partners are like, when will he get to the acceptance part? Not sure. The 5 stages of accepting OT is a hard thing, huh? Yeah, it is. And it's a necessity. We have to accept OT. We have to, you can't live without it. You can't, the pay being what it is, overtime is where you make enough money to be more than comfortable and to be able to maybe go and do some things in your downtime, or treat yourself or treat your family to things, or drive a nicer car than you would otherwise, and stuff like that. So it is there. But physical health, that was another thing that was stressed, very important in EMS. I had a couple of comic strips due to the physical health. We're supposed to watch out for our physical health. We're supposed to, stay hydrated, stay healthy, not smoke, which isn't really the case. At least down here where I'm at, everybody but me smokes. I quit smoking about 2 years before I got into EMS. And under all of the stress, under the worst calls I've ever had in my life, I have, to this day, never picked the habit back up. Never broke down and had one, nothing. Just tried to stay above it and tried to stay. But others around me, however, they smoke quite a bit. And we had one guy who smoked. He always smelled like smoke. He didn't look like this, and his name wasn't this, because I don't want to get in trouble with my friends, but this is based on somebody that I knew, maybe somebody you know. Says I'm with Elmer today. Old medic who's been here for years. Salty, sarcastic, and always smoking. Always. What does he look like? Honestly, I don't know. You don't know? Actually, here he comes now. So, did you pass your last fit test? Because he's kind of the guy you wanna ride with your mask on. You want to N95 it with him. He is constantly just like a cloud. I just had to go for it. But like I said, really nice guy. Name not Elmer, but definitely was based on him. And then I know that they want you to be. Thank you, Sam. I know that they want you to stay fit. They want you to take care of your health and everything like that. And they were going to bring in a health and fitness person into one of our in-services. It never happened. But before it could even happen, I jumped on that and I started a comic as quick as I could. And because I just had an imagination of how it would go. I just thought, it's got to go something like this. Guy standing there, super fit, of course, has the screen with the exact picture of the pose that he is currently doing, because that is definitely probably would have happened. He says, so if your name were what you ate on shift, who would you be? Because it was all part of you are what you eat. Paramedic beef jerky, EMT anything next to the register in a gas station, paramedic mouthfuls of air. Those were the things that under system status management and everything we were subjected to. You grabbed and go, and while it is nice to go ahead and to want to meal prep and to want to do those things, like I said, once system status management came in, your ability to heat food was limited. Packing something and hoping that it kept in a cooler, lettuce wilts, all the different things like that. Not making excuses. As you can see, I am not the skinniest fellow. Not making excuses, but not the easiest thing to do. And so we turn around and I turned around and said, though, paramedic mouthfuls of air, a mouthfuls of air diet would probably get a lot of this weight off really quickly, and I could be around for my children, whenever I get the chance to see them. And I have some comics in regards to, I had a comic in regards to not being around to see my kids. I will tell you, this one was not my most well received. So this one simply said, and growing up without a father around was tough. What age were you when your parents divorced? Oh no, they're still married. He was in EMS. Well, until it destroyed his back. And then he was around all the time. Why wasn't it well received? Basically, I was told it hit too close to home. Now, I argued. I said, wait, none of my other strips came close. Like none of my other strips rang true. They said, no, it comes too close to my home. It hits too close to my personal home. And I had to stop and think, maybe a bit too truthful. And that's okay. You live and you learn, but we all do. And that is a thing, the physical demands of the job. And we all seem like we're just trying to make it and not be ended with a back injury. And that's what I was trying to acknowledge. And like I said, just those stressors and all that stuff. But to wrap up, I had a panel about burnout that I thought worked out. Three panel. I figured I could cover burnout and explain it to you in three easy steps. And here it is. So when I did this comic, everybody agreed was pretty accurate. In 3 easy steps, the EMT year 1, medic 22, shoulder pain. Shoulder pain is a symptom of cardiac. They could be dying as he runs to the unit, ready to rock. Year 2, medic 22, shoulder pain. Yeah, they better be dying. And as you can see, he now is not as skinny as he was in the up top panel. And then we go to the EMT year 5. Medic 22, shoulder pain. He hasn't even left the recliner or the station yet. And he just goes, yeah, my shoulder hurts too. Maybe the timeline's a little quick on that one. Maybe it's not quick enough, but a lot of people agreed that feels like what burnout kind of is. It just, you start off so gung-ho and so caring, and then little by little, you seem to lose interest. And a lot of people tell you when you lose interest, it's time to move on, but it's not that easy. You know, a lot of things, money, responsibility, scheduling, a lot of things keep you in the job. And that's why I am showing you these comic strips, as we'll keep going, to try and show you like finding a balance with it all. That's the big thing. So I spent a lot of time asking myself, what did I want to be when I was an adult? Like, what did I want to be when I was a kid? You know, a lot of people grow up thinking I want to be a policeman or a fireman, and that never happened to me. And I certainly never thought I would ever be a paramedic, you know. So, but then I started realizing my dreams were a little far-fetched. I wanted to be the Incredible Hulk or a ninja. So that that wasn't in the cards. But having a laugh at myself, I realized as a paramedic, maybe I was closer to my dreams than I realized, because we have, did you ever want to be a ninja as a kid? Of course, same here. Of all the things I wanted to be when I grew up, paramedic was never on the list, but ninja was, and that's what you became, huh? You wait in the shadows. Yeah, of gas station parking lots. You crawl in tight spaces. You have chemicals that can take people out, and you usually end the night with blood on you. And when the news story comes out the next day, it's like you never existed. Yeah, we're ninjas. You didn't think about it, but we are. So in my own home, I have two kids. I have a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. My oldest is still figuring out what he wants to be, but he's much more practical. He doesn't say like ninja or Incredible Hulk. He's right now thinking he wants to be a doctor, or he wants to be a biomedical engineer. He's got all these interesting things. And my daughter, she's 5, and she I'm just trying to figure out how to keep her off the roof once she figures out how to get up there. She is a lot of energy. And that's going to bring me to the kid calls. I promised EMSC I would mention some pediatric calls. These, like I said, may or may not have happened, may have happened. And I also thought the kid ones would be cute. I'll preface this a little bit. I'm petrified to death of pediatric calls. I mean, not now. I'm better with them now, but at the time, I didn't really do a lot of kid-based comics because I realized that I just didn't want to bring anything on myself, because a lot of these comics, I kind of got what I got what I put out there, you know, and that awesome 8-year-old grandson wants to move to Florida and be full-time YouTuber. That's the thing. Paid gamer, game designer. That's a lot of the things of now. So the fact that my son, who is very much a gamer, says he wants to be a biomedical engineer is quite impressive, because I mean, I guess Minecrafting just doesn't pay what it used to. But I was going to say, little boys right now, they are crazy. I can't even, like, the calls that I go on with these little boys, and I don't know if it's like the fact that they have 24/7 access to a video camera, or that the internet does exist, but they are doing some of the craziest stuff. Like, this is the more benign of the calls that I have been on featuring little boys, you know. Said I jumped from the roof to the pool. Why? Because it's a party. Said, aren't you 8? I'm 9. But he reads at an 8th grade level. So wanted to take him for some x-rays, Mom. She said, I don't think it's broken, but should I splint it, sling it? Any advice? I couldn't help it. I mean, I didn't do this. But I was like, I got some advice. Listen, you're trying to party at a 12th grade level, kid. Pace yourself. Besides, you get better air from the pergola. And then, of course, Lance says, shut up, Dilly. Like I said, none of this may or may not have happened. With that, I always have to remember that while I'm encouraging to my own children, maybe there are some kids out there that I shouldn't be so encouraging for, because not only do they take on life head first, they literally go head first into life. So they don't need anybody's encouragement, let alone some guy, you know, in a uniform. So, but hey, YOLO, or whatever the teens say. And speaking of teenage boys, those calls tend to be even crazier. Like this. We have rail slide, ramp it off the call, and then land in the bed of a pickup truck as it drove by. Wow. My wrist is broken, maybe my ankle, but it's like my ink says, YOLO. You only live once. With stunts like that, it should say FALTO. FALTO for a limited time only. Like the McRib, not really. Speaking of ribs, I think I broke a few of those too. Well then, YALA, your ambulance lift awaits. Yeah, FALTO and YALA didn't take off like I had hoped it would, but don't you remember, it didn't seem that long ago, if you've been in EMS for a bit, don't you remember when kid calls used to be just kind of cute, a little gross, but kind of cute, like things like this, where you go there and the kid's got a nosebleed and the mom's like, it just started bleeding for no reason. And you're like, no reason? Hey, buddy, did you pick your nose? And he's like, yeah. She goes, so you lied? And he said, no. You said, don't tell me you were picking your nose again. So I didn't tell you that's what happened. Those were the kind of kid calls that I remember being kind of cute. And now it's like scary. But I'm going to say on the flip side of things, little girls. I don't have but one call that I'm going to show you about a little girl, but it sums up perfectly what I find in calls with pediatric, females. While their future husbands are busy tasing each other in the crotch, these girls are becoming more sophisticated and smarter than I've ever could have imagined. I went on this call with this girl, and yes, this did happen. I'll go ahead and allow this one. I'll peel back the curtain on that one. But this little girl, she had a rash on her arm, and her mom, who I didn't show, she's running around scrambling. She's like, let me get you a new ice pack. And she was so sophisticated and so smart. She was just like, listen, boys, it's likely the non-GMO detergent, which I'm being a little jokey there. I'm taking a little poke at something. But anyway, she says, see, the rash is localized and no airway issues. So let's just appease her, okay? Like, wow, you're a smart kid. She said, got to stay ahead of that website. She said, with your smarts, you can go into medicine yourself. She said, nope, software development, creating filters for middle-aged moms on the internet. I'll change the world. And he said, Lance, does EMS offer a Nobel Prize? Because these kids are so smart. They're just the girls. I'm not saying the boys aren't. There's plenty of smart boys out there. But when 911 is called, you find the girls are a lot smarter, I'm sorry to say, at least in my experience. So the girls, incredibly sophisticated, incredibly smart. And then it was like, what is it? Snowflakes. That's the thing that came about. Snowflakes, all poor little fragile children. So of course we were scared to death when a trampoline park opened up around the corner from our station. I was like, wow, I can't even imagine the amount of calls we're going to get from this place, from little kid falling down, mommy's little angel hurt himself, and we're going to be there every day, multiple times a day. So we started getting calls from that place, and basically tones drop. Medicate the Sock Feet Trampoline Park. Not a real name, but I thought it was clever. I knew when they were building that place that we'd be there daily for fragile little snowflake kids. Marnie asks, what makes you think it's a kid? And it wasn't. It was the dad. I was trying to show the kids I could still do the flips. Oh, I see. And Dilly, he's out there. You got to hold your arms out and tuck in tight like this. And they know what's coming. So they say, go grab another collar and clear the bench seat. Because adults were coming out of that trampoline park like crazy. Like I read that completely wrong. But it's like, just stay off the trampolines. I mean, I go to the one around the corner from my house now because they're opening up everywhere around here. And I'll see a parent go running, because they'll go running on the trampolines to get from one part to the other. And poor little unsuspecting kids are just launching off to the sides. Now they're fine. They usually land on the trampoline next to them. But these parents, I don't think it's our place. I think we got to let the kids have this one. Just my thought. I remember when my son was born, I was real paranoid. I was like, oh my God, anytime he had anything wrong, I was like, grab the emergency diaper bag by the door. We're going to the hospital. And then I became, an EMT and a paramedic. And now my daughter she'll suffer a fall, and I turned into that guy I didn't think I turned into. I'm like, oh, she's crying, so she's breathing. It I have had to take her more than him though, because she busts her head open all the time. She hits everything. We've had her glued twice. She didn't get any stitches. She got glued. Maybe if she got some good old fashioned stitches, she would be afraid and be a little more careful. But nope, just a little bit of glue. She's like, okay, well, just moving on. So yeah, I just but I'm not all cynical. I'm not all a crap head. I do have a moment in my career that I captured, and it kind of went like this. I'm going to save the whole story, but this is kind of like an overview of it. So basically, this call happened, and children aren't as fragile as you think, and sometimes they need you most, even when the call isn't for them. He says, "You look beat, rough sleep. That late call we took to surgery, her kid was going to be all alone. So I went straight back to the hospital after shift." And he hung with the little girl for a few hours. And then when mom came out of surgery, he said, "You be a good helper for your mommy, okay?" She said, "I will." And he said, "That was the only way I was getting any sleep last night." He said, "All that heart, let me buy you a coffee, big guy." It was, yeah, it was a car accident, and it was a poorer family, I guess, or low income family. And they really had nobody to go sit with the daughter. And, the nurses were like, we'll have somebody. And I just couldn't feel it. I couldn't shake it. I couldn't feel okay. And I knew that was my last call to shift. I knew I had to get over there. So I just got over there and just sat with her. And, yeah. And it wasn't but maybe like a couple hours or whatever. But yeah, that was based on a real thing. So pediatric, that was when I started to get in, started to not fear them as much, if you will. And got a little bit okay with the pediatric calls. So EMSC, there's my little pediatric tales for you. I hope that you enjoyed them. But here's where it all takes a turn for the better, for the positive. I found out that in looking for, in feeling the positive and allowing myself to feel the positive, in turning around these calls and making them into comics and trying to make people laugh and all that stuff, I started actually looking for the positive things. And then when I found something, I would send it. I would send it right on. I would make sure my readers or listeners for the podcast, I'd make sure that they heard my kind of ideas and my things. This one's kind of silly, but I wanted to go for, these are a few of my favorite things. So they were sitting there comparing, and he said, "When you finally take your boots off after a long shift and the air hits your socks as you step down on soft carpet." Oh, that's a good one. Then he said, "When you run 7 back to back and you get to an ER that has an EMS room and it's fully stocked with snacks and drinks." Oh, so great. But I've got the winner. When you don't run a single call in a shift and you go to clock out, and the second after you hear that button click, tones drop. Oh, yeah. Like, it is the best. Like, you just beat the buzzer. It is so nice. And it really is the best. And so basically, that's what I'm trying to say. If a creative outlet can't be your saving grace like it was for me, always try and find the time to step away. I see so many people who get into this and they don't last very long in this career. You just have to check out and get as far away from people as you can every once in a while. I took that right at the beginning of COVID, before they started shutting it down. I got out to a camp. I went out camping. And so me and my family went, and I was one person who was just burning through. I just was there every day, any day they needed me, because we were just in the beginning of this COVID thing and all that stuff. And then I just got out. I just said, well, I'm going away this weekend, and did this comic about people's reactions. I heard he called out last night. Well, he deserves a day off. Yeah, but he's always here. It's just weird. You think we should be concerned? Lance, did Dilly say why he needed off? And he said, no, but I'm sure he's perfectly fine. And that was a picture from where I was. It was literally the view. I put the real picture in with myself. Like I said, Dilly's a lot like me, and a lot of times is, oops, getting a little ahead of myself here. Pay no attention. Dilly's a lot me. But that was a picture from Black Mountain in Swannanoa, North Carolina. And I didn't hear one siren or a tone or even an engine idling for 3 full days. And it is amazing what that will do for you. I spent the first day just taking naps, just ate and napped and ate and napped some more. And it was so great that like I actually have dreams about that trip. And when I wake up, I'm so mad that I wasn't eating and napping. But sometimes it can't be a getaway to the mountains. Maybe it's just a trip to a pool or a lazy river. And if you can pull that off, just remember, sometimes the naps still happen. You fell asleep in the lazy river for 6 hours. Why did you go on your first day off? You know that's the day for drinking and napping. And then the next day, I wasn't tired and our last shift wasn't that bad. How burnt is your front? So burnt. So very burnt. If I went to a rest today, promise me you won't do compressions. I've had a good life. Me, fell asleep on an inner tube in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I am a bit of a ginger myself. And yeah, okay. That I don't want to relive it. I don't want to think about it. But sometimes the fun can find you on shift. And when it does, maybe you choose to keep it professional, or maybe you just go for it. Went to a call with an old man at the nursing home. And they said, so before we could stop him, out the back door he went, and he jumped right into the leaf pile. He says he's fine and just needs help up. Walked out to the guy, are you our little leaping leaf diver? And I am. You're not hurt? Nope. You should be careful. You could break something. You only live once, boys. Yeah, went for it. I don't suggest you do it. I suggest gainful employment is a lot more positive, a lot more important than maybe, jumping into some leaves on shift, but still, it's just, it's finding, even on shift, off shift, it's finding positive things. I forced myself to look at things a lot differently over the time of this comic. I was feeling in a better place and finding my balance. It was really, really cool. So, but I think for you, and this might not be for you directly, but I think one of the things that comes through on shifts that you should never deny yourself is the chance to pet a friendly animal on a scene. If you're a cat lover, you're a dog lover, I personally love dogs, you should never deny yourself that. Those are like gifts from the EMS gods. Being a dog lover, I imagine it's like, hey, look, we're sorry that drunk threw up on you last week. Here's a dog, But when you go, you just see the dog. Oh, what is it about petting a friendly dog while on shift? It just makes a bad shift better. I know exactly what you mean. And you know what I mean too. Yes, you do, Mr. Poopity Puppers. Kind of in pain here. You have to remember, there's still an actual patient that you came to see. So, but most importantly, and kind of wrapping it up here of sorts, you have to find a balance. I think that's the only way that any of us survive in EMS. Earlier in the beginning of this, I was making fun of all those things that lead to burnout and all those stressors that I was finding. And I'm sure you saw the humor in them when I was just listing them or reading them to you. I'm sure you saw the humor in them, but also they could come with a trigger warning, because some of you may have read that and thought it wasn't funny because it was just the truth. And it's not funny anymore. You've dealt with it for as long as you can. And so for me, it worked, but for you, it might not. And that's why I encourage you to find something that makes you happy. Do something, working out, hiking, painting, scuba diving, live for your weekend. and live for your next day off. Because if there's one thing I think our line of work teaches us is that life is too short. That is clearly the message that we receive on a more than once daily basis. And so if you would have told me though, that I would have found my balance doodling with my finger on my phone and not paying attention during an in-service training, once again, don't do what I do, that I'd not only be creating the thing that would find the balance in EMS, but that also would be here years later with a popular, website. I'll show you this, that I'd be sitting here years later with a popular website that you could find at emscomic.com, that I also would be doing a twice monthly comic strip for gems.com, that I would be going to conventions. I have 5 self-published books on Amazon. I'd be going to conventions and doing autograph signings. And I would be hanging out with the members of Night Watch and finding out that they were fans of mine too, which is really cool. That I'd have a popular podcast that was growing, or that I wound up taking my EMS themed comedy and going for a popular television show that, I would have never believed that any of that was possible. But no, I didn't make it onto the TV audition, but still the experience was a lot of fun. And stay tuned, because I'm not giving up just yet. But also, if you want to see, I do have to tell you, if you want to see some of my stand-up comedy, if you want to meet me in person, I will be at the Minnesota EMS Association Conference at Jackpot Junction Casino. I believe that's is it Morton, Minnesota? I could be getting that wrong, but I think I'm right. And that's the weekend of September 18th, 2021. So I'll be at that. And if you follow me on any of these social media and keep up with me, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, EMScapades is where you'll find me on all those. I would have details as those things happen in the future. But before I leave, I want to thank EMSC for having me today, for thinking of me for this. I was very nervous, wondering how it was going to turn out. I feel like I had fun. It felt more like a TED Talk than a presentation, but I hope that you learned something from this today. Simply just finding what makes you happy, or finding the balance, because in resiliency and EMS, I think personally, and I speak from experience, I think that's the only way that we can survive in this field is just finding that balance. But trust me, just when you think that you can't go on in this, just realize it's not the end of the world, And even if it were the end of the world, well, guess what? They're still going to call 911. Just like this. Really? Who calls 911 at the end of the world? And why answer it or dispatch to it? I quit. Because why call EMS, but why work EMS till the very last second? Because that's what we do. Okay. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I was going to open it up to a Q&A, but I think I pretty much ran me up to the time. Did I not? I'll wait to hear.
We went pretty much up to time, but I did have 2 last questions for you if we've got a couple minutes here.
Talk to me. All
right. The first one is, can you just tell all of us where we can find your comics and podcasts? Like I said, I know I've seen the one through Gems. I love them, but where can all of our listeners find those?
That is EMScapades. Like I said, fun to say, hard to spell. So I actually have a redirect website that is emscomic.com. If you type that in, that would go directly to emscapades.com. Or if you feel like it, emscapades.com. That's the escapades of EMS, EMScapades. So I would love to meet you, and follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit under EMScapades, and also my podcast as well. And if you write me, I always write back. I don't say my fans, because you guys are my colleagues. You guys are doing this right alongside me. So I feel like it's just that. So did that answer both of them at once?
Yes, it did. And the last one is just, if you had to go back and give brand new paramedic Ben, or any new paramedic, one key quick piece of advice, what would it be?
Wow. It sounds a little, I guess, hippie, maybe, but I would say it's gonna be okay, because I think we forget, or we come sometimes to realize it too late. I think we look back and then we say, oh, well, okay, yeah, I mean, it was a rough time, but I got through it and all that stuff. It seems like if we could only tell ourselves that in the upfront, if we could only say, it's going to be okay, like you're going to be okay, we could maybe get to the healing and the self-love and the self-care quicker. Does it make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Ben.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. I'm reading your chat comments and everything. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you agree. Humor helps. You guys are the best. And like I said, follow me, find me. I would love to meet you online, or meet you in person if you make it out to the EMS, Minnesota EMS conference. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, Ben. Right. Everyone, once again, happy EMS week, happy EMSC day. My gosh, that's a mouthful. Thank you all for all that you do. We'll be working on getting continuing education certificates out. And if you have any questions or issues, just go ahead and reach out to your state EMSC coordinator and we'll be happy to help. So everyone, thank you so much. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.